Hello and welcome to the channel and welcome to another Doctor Who video. Today we're doing the Season 2 episode rankings of NuWho, obviously. This is the Doctor and the 10th Doctor and Rose season. I've changed locations for this episode. I can't always record in the very, very beautiful Stripey Rambles room as much as I'd like to, and I do want to continue with this series at a fairly regular pace, so I suppose I just have to record it where I can. Okay, Season 2 episode ranking. As usual, double episode will be counted as one, and this is just my own opinion. You're going to have your own because you're a different person and you like different things. But we all love Doctor Who, so we can all get behind that. At number 10, I don't think it'll be a surprise for anybody when I say Love and Monsters. This actually wasn't that bad. I'm going to say it's not going to be the bottom of everybody's list. Some say it's the worst episode of NuWho that Doctor Who has ever done. I say there are some strong contenders for that title. There's not many that I would consider that bad to be labelled as a possible worst episode. But there's more than just Love and Monsters. That's all I'll say. The concept of Love and Monsters was pretty good. What happens when people come into contact with the Doctor's hectic and monster fighting, alien fighting lifestyle, and then the Doctor doesn't hang around to explain what's just happened. It's going to leave one with a lot of questions and no one around that can answer them. And this is what we see with Elton and what we see with the whole of the Linda group. We see a bunch of desperate people looking for answers that are never going to arrive. And I think as the story progresses, they realise that this is not going to happen. It just becomes a buddy episode. Just a group of friends getting together once a week to mime along to ELO. What's wrong with that? Nothing. It's potentially a slow, maybe a so boring, but fairly interesting concept. But then you get the Absorber off, which was horrible. Yeah, it just horrible. Which is a shame, really, because the conceptual art that the child drew didn't look that bad. It looked acceptable, and good makeup artists and costume designers could have made it more sort of better, but they made it worse. It's almost as if they designed it going, well, it was designed by a child, we don't have to put any effort into it. I'm not a fan of Peter Kay, so that did not enhance my experience of the episode, nor did having the image of Elton having paving slab sex with Ursula. Didn't need that in my mind. No. I know it was only inferred. Well, no, it wasn't, was it? It was blatantly said. Don't need that. No. But apart from that, it wasn't that bad an episode. But it still goes bottom of my list for this season. At number 9, Fear Her. Yeah, I don't watch this episode very often. I don't mind this episode. The concept of the child that can draw things and kind of change reality with her drawings, making people disappear, making things appear, kind of reminds me of the film Paper House, which is a kind of children's horror. Sort of older children's, teens horror. But it is actually quite a good psychological horror, and I advise anyone to check that out. The trailer is definitely on YouTube somewhere, but yeah, it reminded me of that. But the story just didn't go anywhere. The acting was fairly bad. The story didn't go anywhere. The time with the London Olympics, well, I don't know how I feel about that, to be quite honest. I didn't love it. And the Scribble Monster, again, like I said with Love and Monsters, there was bits of Fear Her where it just looked like the crew and the cast just weren't trying. Number 8, The Idiot's Lantern. Now there are quite a few moments of this episode that I really, really like. Especially the Doctor's first confrontation with the father. A very, 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 very powerful scene. Maureen Lipman as the Wire. Played a little bit hammy, but then again, Maureen Lipman is a very, very talented actress, and if it was played hammy, it was played hammy deliberately. So I've got no problem with that. Ron Cook was brilliant as Mr. Magpie. I really loved Mr. Magpie. The faceless creatures that had been by the Wire, they were good. They were unsettling. It was very unnerving. I hardly ever rewatched this episode. This is why I've put it down at number 8, is because despite all the good in this, it's a very average. It just feels very average. At number 7, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, because a lot of people regard this as brilliant. And I've got to admit, the second part, Doomsday, is marvellous. I like the second part a hell of a lot more than I like the first part. So we get Rosie's sad and misleading death. We get the Cybermen versus the Daleks. Oh my god, the Battle of Canary Wharf, that was brilliant. We get one of my favourite moments in NuWho, which is one of my favourite moments in NuWho, which is the moment the sphere activates and the Cybermen have started to reveal themselves and make themselves known. And then we find out that it's a Dalek, it's 4 Daleks in the sphere. Oh my god, what a cliffhanger. That was just an amazing cliffhanger. But then we get all the nonsense in the first part, and that just drags this story down so much. The ghosts. I've got no problem with the scientific explanation of that this is a projection of the Cybermen. I've got no problem with that. But it's the public's acceptance that, oh yeah, they're ghosts. And showing popular TV shows of now to illustrate the public's acceptance, showing Jeremy Kyle and EastEnders. I don't like it when it does that. It's Dimensions in Time. Don't do that to me. Sorry. I don't like it when they start showing TV shows in TV shows, like real TV shows in TV shows. I just don't like it. If they're going to show a TV show in a TV show, then make it a fake one. Make a fake TV show and then show that in the TV show. Do you get me? Do you get? I think I've confused myself. Okay. The other thing I didn't like was Yvonne and the Doctor. Yvonne in general was just really cringy, and all the bit with when he comes out and says, "I'm the Doctor." Oh, I say yes, and all round of applause, and I don't like those scenes. I really didn't like Yvonne. I didn't think she was a very good character. Probably acted perfectly well. I just didn't like the way she was written. I found it cringy, and that's why this, despite the brilliance of Doomsday and that sad farewell, I can't get past the first part and the ghosts. Ugh, no. So number 6, let's move on. Number 6, I'm going to put New Earth. Again, it's not a bad story about medical experimentation and disease control and things like that. I really like the cat creatures, people, things. I like the whole idea of the episode. You know, the fact that it ends as a zombie apocalypse of all things. I love zombie films. They're my favourite of the classic horror tropes. And let's face it, Doctor Who has done it all. Well, yeah, it has. It has done it all. It's had the vampires. It's had zombies, ghosts and ghouls and all sorts. And then you get Cassandra. And I didn't like Cassandra when we first met her, and I didn't like her in this episode. Luckily, she wasn't a main plot. She was a subplot. But the trouble is that subplot just didn't gel with the main plot. It seemed like the Cassandra bit was just sort of tapped on as filler. And when Cassandra takes over the body of the Doctor, the Rose first, and then the Doctor afterwards. Oh, no. That's cringy again. That is cringy beyond belief. I'm really, really kind of glad that Cassandra's story ended with this. And it was a very, very nice ending for Cassandra. Again, it didn't match anything else that really happened in the episode. It kind of, again, felt tapped on, but it was a nice ending. Okay, number 5, Tooth and Claw. Okay then, right, we've had zombies. Let's have werewolves. I love a good werewolf movie. So, yeah, why not? I think this is the first time Doctor Who has ever done a werewolf story. And it was done brilliantly. And, I mean, it's set in Scotland. And the Scottish countryside is so beautiful. It's just a pity this was filmed in Wales. There was references to classic Who. Very subtle ones. But I love that. I eat up the classic Who references all the time. As long as they're not overdone. But yeah, I liked that, and it was a good Torchwood setup. I don't know why the Shaolin monks were there. Were Shaolin monks around in Scotland in 1870s? And were they white? There's something about that just doesn't... I'm pretty sure they were meant to be Shaolin monks. But white Shaolin monks at that time, I didn't think they taught Asian martial arts to white people. Wow, well into the sort of 1940s. So that didn't seem to work. And plus the fact, why Shaolin monks in Scotland? Why, considering the part that they played in the story, it seemed that their part could have been played by pirates or smugglers or any other band of ruthless bastards that are indigenous to that region at that time. That's just me, maybe. But it just didn't seem to be historically... I wouldn't say historically accurate, but historically probable. At number 4, double episode this, and I'm actually going to make a change here. I think I've put those in the wrong order. This is a last minute change. I have that right. Right, at number 4, Age of Steel, Rise of the Cyberman. Okay, right, first of all we have a new origin story for the Cybermen, but in a parallel universe, which was a brilliant idea. I can really get behind that because it means that they can, in the future, in season 3 onwards, that they could introduce the Cybermen anytime they wanted without having to reflect back on 50 plus years of cyber history and cyber lore. And it doesn't contradict the Mondas Cyberman origin story either. So, yeah, brilliant bit of writing. A bit of thought went into that one. I loved the fact that this was the rise of Mickey Smith. This was when he went from... He'd already undergone some changes from the coward we'd seen in Rose and the early episodes of season 1, and in this episode he really went from zero to hero. This is when he really achieved the hero status, choosing to stay behind and fight against the Cybermen rather than carrying on travelling with the Doctor and Rose. Brilliant sacrifice on his part. Roger Lloyd Pack as John Loomis, the late Roger Lloyd Pack as John Loomis. Brilliant. He played that so sinisterly, and it was the first Cyberman. It was the first Cyberman story of NuWho. We'd already had the Daleks introduced in season 1, and now we're getting the Cybermen in season 2. Absolutely fantastic. I really love this double episode. It's just got so much action. There's not a lot that I can criticise, to be quite honest. Yes, there is one little thing I will criticise. Jackie Tyler. How did she become more annoying in this parallel universe? I thought the Jackie Tyler we already had was really annoying. But the Jackie Tyler in this parallel universe is way more annoying. Brilliant acting. At number 3, we have The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit. I've literally nothing to complain about this episode. It was fantastic. It was creepy, and when you're talking about devils and things like that, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, it's still a little bit unnerving. It still taps into that primal fear. And this did it well. The takeover of the Ood, the disembodied voice that kept following Toby Zed around, and one of my favourite quotes: "He bathes in the black sun."
He is awake.
What?
He is awake.
What's that supposed to mean?
He bathes in the black sun.
The beast itself did not disappoint. It was suitably awesome. The whole trap system that they devised was well written, and just it's a fantastic episode. And one of my favourite bits is the fact that the Doctor is unable to grasp what the beast is telling him, that the beast has existed since before time. And the Doctor is just like, no, since the beginning of time, or whatever. He just doesn't want to acknowledge that there is a limit to his understanding of time. At number 2, we have The Girl in the Fireplace. I'm going to compare this to something else. It has been done a few times. The observing the longer journey in a short space of time has been done quite a few times in science fiction. One of my favourites before this episode came out was Star Trek Voyager's The Blink of an Eye, in which Star Trek Voyager witnesses the entire civilization's growth from primitive Stone Age to technologically more advanced than even the Federation. all in, I think it was the space of about 48 hours. And this is another of those. We only get to see one life, but we get to see it from virtually from the beginning to the end, from the age of, I think she was 6 or 7, all the way to her death. Yet it's only a few hours for the Doctor. And it was done so beautifully. The chemistry between the Doctor and Madame de Pompadour was, I know it was real, but it was captured so brilliantly. I mean, the chemistry was there right from the beginning. It worked so well between them. It was Mickey Smith's first trip as well. So it was the first time that the Doctor had accepted Mickey and invited him on board as a companion, which I was waiting for. I mean, I love Noel Clarke. I think he's brilliant. So I was really waiting for the rise of Mickey Smith. And this episode was the start of it. And obviously Age of Steel, that I've already mentioned, was where he became the hero. This was the beginning of his journey. The Doctor's attitude to Mickey at the beginning wasn't good, and I didn't really particularly like the Doctor for his attitude to Mickey. Treated him quite badly. And in this episode we kind of get to see the Doctor make amends for his previous self's arrogant mistake, shall we say. Arrogant attitude towards Mickey. That's not all I like about it. I mean, it is a 100% brilliant episode from start to finish, and the ending is just so sad. It chokes you. It's not a weepy ending, but it's one that chokes you up a bit. And that leaves but one episode left for number 1 spot. And if you've been following closely, and you know your episodes, you'll know what episode it is. It is School Reunion. And you know why? It's because I said I'm a sucker for those references to Classic Who. And we have the return of Elizabeth Sladen. The late Elizabeth Sladen. The great Elizabeth Sladen. As Sarah Jane Smith. Probably the most beloved Doctor Who companion that has ever been. We have the return of K9. Hey, K9, he was rubbish. He was rubbish back then, and he's still rubbish, but it was nice to see him. It was nostalgic. This could have been a 100% pure nostalgia fest, which would have meant absolutely nothing to fans that had only just started watching Doctor Who. Those too young, or that had never really worried about the old series, even if they were old enough to watch it. But they didn't. They had a good story surrounding this. The story of the Krillitane. I love the idea of the Krillitane. The sort of like evolving creatures. Conceptually, very Douglas Adams. And Anthony Head as the main Krillitane was brilliant. That is, without knowledge of Sarah Jane Smith, this would be a 5, maybe a 6. But because I am a Classic Who fan, I may have only experienced Sarah Jane Smith long after she was a companion. I think I only watched those episodes back in the 80s, which was 10, maybe 15 years after she'd left the role. But I still loved Sarah Jane Smith. She's still probably my second favourite companion of all time. Yeah, second favourite companion of all time. My first is obviously, I'm running out of time. Thank you for watching this season 2 episode ranking. I wonder if you agree with me. If not, if you do, I don't. Just leave me your own rankings in the comments. I'm always willing to hear. Until I do my season 3, I don't know when I'll get round to that, but I'll try. At some point, I'll try and film it somewhere different from this, because this background is boring. But it's all I've got at the moment, so what are you going to do? Hey! See you next time. Keep well, and ta-ta.